Welcome to Interview with Franjez. I'm your host, Franjez, and today's guest is running for mayor of the city of Yonkers in the beautiful state of New York. Today's guest is Freddy Vasquez.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? I'm Freddy Vasquez, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it, man. I saw your work, and I thought you do well. They're very good, actually. I said, I like the way he interviewed.
I appreciate that.
Definitely will come on and wouldn't mind you interviewing. I do. I love it.
Perfect.
You like unique questions, outside the box, and I like that,
Perfect. Thank you. Where were you born?
Oh, I was born in Mount Kisco. I'm from Yonkers, but I was born in Mount Kisco. And the reason why I was born in Mount Kisco is because my mother was incarcerated at the time of my birth. And she was in Bedford's Women's State Facility. That's, I guess, near Mount Kisco. So when she went into labor, they took her out of the prison, I would imagine, and took her to the nearby hospital there, Mount Kisco, where she gave birth to me. And so and I spent the first 8 months of my life in this world in a prison in the nursery there at the women's facility.
That's a very unique story.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's something that, there was a time I was ashamed of it, but I think over the years, as I've matured, as I've grown, as I've also attained a certain level of success, I realized that is who I am. That made me who I am today. And so now I take pride in that I was able to, turn it around, and so, for anyone who may be in that situation, because that program still does exist in Bedford Women's Facility, just know that, your child does have an opportunity to be very successful in life, so it's not doesn't define that child's life.
Yeah, it's part of your story. It's part of what made you who you are today.
Absolutely. And believe it or not, though, I didn't even find out till I was 14 years old.
All right.
My mother didn't want to really tell me about it. I found out, I don't know if you were one of these type of kids, but I used to like to go through closets in the house and just go into boxes and see what was in there, try to find some old photos and stuff,
Yeah.
And one day I found an old newspaper clipping of my mother holding me as a child, and it was saying, my mother's name, and she's holding me, and she's an inmate at the Bedford Women's Facility, and I was just like I didn't even, I'm 14 years old, and I'm like, what, and the thing for me was, and I don't want to talk about too much of the details, I respect for my mother, but I just was very curious as to what it was, because I didn't want her, and I know this is crazy, but I was she doing something, like prostitution or something like that, right? And and I know that's crazy, but I was like, but it had nothing to do with prostitution or anything like that. So, not that any of it would be bad. I'm just saying, I don't know why that was like the one thing that I
Yeah. But when you find out she was in there, you think, oh my God, what did she do? Of course.
Right,
That's your first reaction. What was it for?
Right.
Of course.
I mean, she made a mistake. She was very young. She was 19 years old. My mom had a rough upbringing. She was kicked out of the house at 16 years old by her stepfather, who I just look at as my grandfather. I don't look at him as my step-grandfather. He's the only grandfather I knew, and I loved him. He gave me a lot of love, and sometimes I think that maybe that was his way of making up for what he did to my mom as a child, kicking her out the house. And my grandmother didn't say anything, and that really tore her up inside, that her mom would allow her new husband or whatever to do that. And so she was on her own since she was 16, and being out in the streets in Yonkers at that time, there's a lot of ways to get into trouble, and she happened, but she turned her life around. My mother also, that was the first and only time, and she took off from there, and so she has a great life now. She lives in a gated community in Florida, and she's out there in peace, and I love her very much.
Perfect. What is your father's name?
I'm a junior, so his name is Freddy Vasquez Sr., and my actual name my full name is Alfredo, right? So, but people have always called me Freddy. Although in business I do get called Al, but yeah, I do. And that was actually given to me by my senior broker, right? I went down to Wall Street once I got my MBA in finance, and I did marketing and finance, dual concentration. I went down to Wall Street, and so I had a senior broker that I worked under, and he goes, you're going to go by Al on the phone. I said, okay, no problem, right? Because I'm not going to question him. He knows what he's doing. I want to be where he's at, you know? So I went by Al, and I understood it, right? You know, it just made me more relatable. Unfortunately, it's just the way the world is. And, you know, some people may get turned off by Freddy, right? You know, they would prefer Al, you know? So that's just more, I guess, universal. I don't know.
Yeah.
But look, I ran with that, you know, once I went into another industry, and you know, I just always kept that out, and I deal with my clients as Al. But, you know, friends, family, and actually more I'm starting to get into where even professionally people are starting to call me Freddy, because it would get confusing on my phone. People call me at the office and they say Freddy or Al, and some of my staff may get confused because they don't know me by Freddy, you know, they know by Al. So, you know, I had to just tell them. So now more people are calling me Freddy, especially now that I've been doing the podcast and everything. So, but I always say to my mother, because people used to make fun of me, Alfredo, you know, he'd be like, oh, Alfredo the sauce, right? That's the one everybody had to say, the Alfredo sauce. Do you like Alfredo sauce?
Of course.
Yeah, actually I do, actually. But, you know, but that's the one thing my mother allowed my dad to do, right? Because my mother dominated when, you know, the few years that they were together. She dominated everything, right? She made all the decisions. But she allowed him to name me. She was going to name me Michael.
All right.
Michael Jason, actually. I would have been Michael Jason Vasquez. I don't know if you like that any better, but Alfredo Vasquez. So
You prefer Alfredo?
At this point, I don't really care. You know, I'm so used to it, it doesn't matter. There's so many mics out there, too. You know, besides, I'm running for mayor. You know, I want to be, you know, Freddy versus Mike.
Oh, nice. Right. I like that. What is your mother's name?
Myra.
Beautiful.
Myra, yeah. And Maida, as they call her. And which I learned is very popular among Jewish people. And I've had clients, Myra Cohen, one of my clients I recall, and my mother actually worked for a Jewish company, you know, when she left Yonkers and everything, and they invited her to Israel, which she never went, which I was like, hey, we should have went. Yeah. But Myra Rodriguez.
Nice. You sort of answered this earlier, but what were your parents doing around the time of your birth?
Well, my mother was incarcerated, and my dad was at a bar.
Celebrating?
No, he was. He didn't even know I was born.
Oh.
He was at a bar. And that's a true story. My uncle found him at the bar because obviously my mother being incarcerated, she's going to call her family and say, hey, I gave birth. Let his father know. So, you know, my uncle went searching for my dad and found him in a bar, and he thought he was lying. He did. He didn't believe him. He didn't go with him. He thought he was lying.
Yeah.
He thought he was lying. And so it was, you know, and my uncle is the type that will be like, okay, whatever, and he'll walk away. He's not going to, you know, try to convince you it's true. Yeah. And it's almost like he wants it to be that way. Like, I told him he didn't go. He wanted that situation to be. You know, that's what he was doing. My dad was, you know, in the streets a lot. You know, he also had a rough childhood. I mean, there's a story that he told me once that it was my grandmother. She was holding his sister. Who was a baby at the time, and he was younger. And his father poured a bunch of lighter fluid over the three of them, and then tried to light them up with a match, but it wouldn't light up. He said, and so and he loved his father. Don't get me wrong; it's not like my dad was trying to bash his dad. He loved his father. I mean, considering the stories that he told me, he still loved his father. And you know, my grandfather had a rough time. He grew up during, you know, a lot of racism and stuff, especially for Hispanics who were coming here from Puerto Rico and stuff. And, you know, he was a bus driver down in the city, and he got into it with a white man who ended up getting him fired. The white man called his job, and he got fired. And, you know, he kind of went into a downward spiral after that to drinking and stuff, and he became abusive and stuff. So, but he loved his father, you know. But that led to my dad also having a rough, you know, life and being involved with drugs pretty much until he died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah.
What religion did they practice during your childhood?
We grew up Catholics. We went to St. Peter's Church, actually.
All right.
And then I went to St. Peter's School until my mother could no longer afford it. That was just, you know, my mother was incarcerated. Then I went to live with my grandmother because my dad he was out in the street. He can't raise he didn't know what to do. He told me one story where I was sick and I was crying, and he brought me over to my cousin's godmother, who was some medical professional, and she just put me in a bunch of ice water to bring down my temperature. But he just didn't know what to do. He's out in the street, you know, so he brought me to my mother's parents, who you know, raised me until my mother was able to release from prison. Once she was released, my dad and her tried to make it work. But that lasted for a couple of years. My dad was just too involved in the street. But I almost was not here. Actually, two things that my mother listened to my dad: my naming, and also I'm here. The fact that I'm here was my dad. And my mother. And this is not to be negative about my mom. I do just want to mention this because it's a topic that a lot of people discuss, and it's been in the news a lot when you talk about abortion. And so my mother, was considering having an abortion, right? So I there was a chance I wouldn't be here today. I might not be here, but my dad, even though he wasn't in a place to really take care of a child, really, said, no, we could do this, when you come out, we're going to do it and stuff. And so she decided to, go through with the pregnancy. But, yeah, she almost, and I get it, she's young, she's in jail. She was pregnant during the trial, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then she goes to jail, and what am I going to do with a baby? And I'm in jail, right? So I understand her mindset, but she didn't do it, and I'm glad she didn't. And I have a beautiful life. My kids have a beautiful life, and this is just a thing, and I'm not trying to tell anyone, what decisions to make. Everybody makes their decisions for themselves, but just because the situation may not seem like it's the right situation, because my mother's situation was not right at all for a child, doesn't mean it can't have a great outcome, So I just really want to get that out there.
Yeah, man. Thanks to your father.
Yeah. Thanks to my dad, and I love my dad. Not to, I'll just be honest about who my dad was.
Absolutely.
But he was a great man, though. He definitely was a great human. I mean, he would give you the shirt off his back, literally, and do anything for people, So, and that's why I get my kindness, fun, and my desire to help people. Want to help others.
That's beautiful. What is your relationship with God today?
Oh, it's very strong.
There we go.
It's very strong.
There we go.
I wear my beads every day. Believe it or not, I could forget a lot of things at home if I go to the office and not turn around and go back home to get it. But my beads is something I will turn around. I literally feel like something is missing. And it wasn't always like that. I did go to Catholic school, but that was just because that's where my mother put me in. We went to St. Peter's because I'm with my grandmother, and I used to always think, all these poor people coming to church praying to God, and we're still poor, still waiting online for that block of cheese, which I did. I stood on that line. But there was a point even where I thought I was so smart that I knew God wasn't real, because it's just for people who are silly, who don't know how to explain things, and they have to say God and this magical thing. And that changed within the past, I'd say 5 years since my sister's passing. I really developed a strong, a relationship with God, a strong faith, not religion. I don't claim necessarily a religion. I don't go to church because I don't necessarily believe that that's what, builds your relationship with God. I have just in my actions and what I do every day, and just, communicating with God. And I see the signs. I mean, and once you build that strong relationship with God and you have real faith, I say real faith because some people can say they have faith, but when you have real faith, you see signs, right? You can look back and be like, yo, those were signs, and I didn't even see it. And then now, moving forward, that's a sign, right? And so today, I'm standing here, getting ready to announce that I will be running for the mayor of Yonkers, not because I want to be mayor, because I never had intention to be a mayor, right? I believe God put me in this position to do what I'm doing now. Because ultimately I wanted to support another candidate, but here I am. So I believe everything that's happens is, I give the glory to God, whether good or bad, everything, even the bad things, it's God putting you through a test so you can become better. But it's up to you to become better, right? You're not going to become better just by going through the test, right? It's what you do in those moments. So
yeah, it's what you take out of the test.
Absolutely. How you come out at the other end, so God's going to put you to test, but he's not going to do it for you, So
absolutely.
You can't pray and just wait there, right? And think that a bag of money is going to be in front of your door when you open it because you prayed it. Now, that's not how it works. But, you guys definitely have faith,
Absolutely. What was home like during your childhood? And when I say home like, I even mean the food, the music, the family dynamic.
Oh, man. It's interesting because, I look back and I look at my childhood, and my wife and I grew up so different. My wife grew up upper middle class, big house. We grew up poor, big family, little apartment, But I don't know if I would trade with her. I had a lot of great moments. But there, it was a lot of great moments, and then there were a lot of bad moments, right? There was these extremes, I mean, look, we talk about domestic violence, drug addiction, just violence in general, poverty, hunger, But then we had these moments where we would have these parties and all the family members would be there. The music was always salsa and merengue, right? And so I would dance it. I didn't, I don't know I could do too well now, but back then you had to. And there would be other friends that my family would invite, right? And they were like family because they were always at the parties and they would have kids and there would be, there was always that one that I had the crush on, I'm gonna say Erica, and so I love, I think she may know it by now. She's in Florida now. I'm married. We're both happily married. But back then, I had the biggest crush and I had to learn how to dance if I wanted to dance with Erica, right? So I would go there, but my family, even though we didn't have a big apartment stuff, we would clear the apartment, take all the furniture out, right, and put everything into the bedrooms, and the entire kitchen, living room would be the dance floor, right, and then the kitchen would be where all the food and stuff was, then the hallway area, you might have people standing around just drinking, but it was always dancing, and we're talking about the 3, 4, 5 in the morning, right, and we would invite everyone from the building, so no one would be upset. It was a tenement building, so you had 6 apartments, right, so people would come. They know we partying, and it didn't matter what it was. It would be, New Year's, Christmas, the baby turned 1, we got to party all night for that. And you know what I'm saying? We got to have the mini Budweiser bottles. The christening, she got baptized or he got baptized. We partying all night, It was always a party for something. But that brought family together. The food, the pernil. My grandmother always made pernil, arroz con gandules. She would always do a ham, as well. Macaroni salad, potato salad. I mean, everything, white rice. My grandmother pretty much made the white rice for me because I would eat arroz con gandules, but I didn't, it wasn't my thing. I would prefer white rice. So she would actually make white rice. Everyone else ate the arroz con gandules. Pateles, pateles. My grandmother would make them and sell them, and she still does, actually.
Nice.
Empanadas, all that stuff, man. It was great. It was the best.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It was rough, though, but, I live with my grandmother. I was raised by them on Buena Vista. But, my dad, wasn't always around. So, but I don't know. It just was good and bad. I wouldn't change it.
It sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
it sounds beautiful. Who is the first person you think of when you think of success?
When I think of success, who's the first person I think of? Oh, wow. I never thought about that question. I guess in high school, my thought was Puff Daddy, right? I wanted to be like Sean Puffy Combs. And I was telling you, I had a recording studio. I wanted to be in the music industry, in the music business. So I always looked up to Puff Daddy, and I wanted to be, as successful as Puff Daddy. That was my definition of success. And I guess really it wasn't, it was Puff, but it wasn't a person also. It was an image. Right. And this is a misconception I think that a lot of us have, right? The image of success where he had a lot of money. He drove, nice fancy cars and big houses and stuff, right? That to me was success. But I've come to learn over time that that's not success, right? Success is not measured by monetary value or gain. It's measured by happiness, right? I don't care. I don't care if I have, I live outside in the street. Honestly, if I'm happy, then I'm successful, right? If I live a good life, I can put a smile on my face. I'm happy. So, my definition of success has changed. I look at the person now who's happy as a person that's successful.
That's beautiful. Yeah. As a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a police officer. I used to always go around I was, a latchkey kid. My sister was 9 years younger than me, so she would be my mom if my mom left the house. So I would stay home alone. So I would, I had a toy gun, and a toy badge, and I would go around my house searching the apartment for any suspects or anything. When you're alone, you can make up a lot of different. You can have fun, right? I would have a whole basketball season.
Yeah,
I would have a little hoop on the door, with the little ball, and I would have a whole season. Of course, I would win. Every game, every championship, my team was the winner. I was the only one on the team. I made all the points, right? I had no one defending me, but but I still, imagined this, this game and this thing. So, I want to be a cop, so I would always search, the apartment and stuff, and I would walk around with a toy badge and stuff all the time. So, that was my dream.
That's fun. That's funny. You took that all the way until you were 14, and then that's how you found the paper. You know, that was your thing, searching, and
Yeah, I mean, and even now, I mean, people say, I would be a good investigator. FBI should hire me, just from a lot of things that I have uncovered here in Yonkers. You know, Yonkers has a lot of things to uncover. Yeah, with political corruption and deals that have been made, and information I put out on the Basement Politics podcast. People are like, yo, and I get information, I have sources, and I dig and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, I get tunnel vision about something. I almost. I don't want to insult anybody, so I don't want to say this, but I get like I have like this, this strangeness about me when I get focused on something. It's almost like
an
nothing
obsession.
Else matters. Yeah, it becomes an obsession. Yeah, it's like weird. I can't stop.
That's good though. If it's something positive, it's good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But it also causes anxiety and frustration because I gotta like get it done, figure it out, do it. And I can't stop. Nothing else. My wife like, take a break, walk away from it. And I can't. So. This is how I am. I get very weird like that. Now I've been like that with this political stuff.
What are 3 things you need to be happy?
Me personally, I need my family, my wife and my kids for sure to be happy. I guess my wife, my son, and my daughter, the 3 things. Family is big for me, and that's what I mean. Like, I used to think monetary gain was everything, but, when you lose people you love and they're not here, and, the monetary gain, the money's not going to bring them back. You can't enjoy the money or the things that the money buys with them. So for me, happiness is family, having a happy family, spending time with them. We often are in the grind all the time and constantly working and hustling, and trying to support that family, but spending time, to me, that's happiness, man. Just being with my family, that's happy. That's everything, man. And
it's beautiful.
Peace, quiet, and just, I don't know, and food maybe. Even though I'm skinny, but I gotta have snacks and stuff in the house. Ice cream, especially, Haagen-Dazs. And I'm good. You give me that, I'm good. My family, a good documentary, and some Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
I like that. Nice and simple.
Yeah. I learned to be just simple over the years, man. I used to try to complicate things, and it's stressful. It's very,
Absolutely. What's the most exciting thing you ever did?
Man, exciting. Dang. I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of things. In my life, I've had a lot of different experiences. I've been around a lot of different places. Exciting.
That takes you out of character, and you're just like, wow, like that's exciting.
You know what I love to do was, my wife, marrying my wife, that was exciting. I was all hyped up for that, I look back at our wedding, but I don't want to be all cliche and lovey-dovey, but that is true. That is exciting to me.
If it's the truth, it's the truth.
But, I enjoy driving, not just any car. I enjoy driving a specific car, and getting on the road. I like to jump into, V10, Lamborghini or something like that, and just take a cruise. It used to be motorcycles, but motorcycles are dangerous. My mother-in-law, my wife, once my wife was pregnant, they said, you got to get rid of the motorcycle. And I haven't had one since, but I love the motorcycle. So it's not really the necessarily the car, I guess. It's the feeling when you're on the road, you're just kind of going, and then you shift into gears and stuff, man. And I love doing that. So that's kind of that takes everything, out of my mind, and it's just me and the road. And I love to do that on a Sunday morning. I get up early when there's not a lot of cars out in the road, I'll do that, and then I'll stop and go get me breakfast before coming home. That to me is exciting. I look forward to that, just driving and when, the sports car, man. I love it.
That's beautiful.
That's I don't parachute. I ain't jumping out of no plane. Not me. Mountain climbing. No, I'm not doing none of that stuff.
Yeah. As you get older, what has become more important and less important?
Well, that's a good question. As I've gotten older, what has become more important is just spending quality time with my kids, and my wife, and making sure that I'm making that time. It's easy for us to get caught up in what we're doing, and next thing you know, all this time has gone by, and you didn't even spend it with the people that really matter most. I look at my daughter now; she's 11 years old. She's looking like a little woman, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe. It's weird. I have this. This is my child. He's 11 years old. So just making sure I spend time with them, and what's not important, just your career. And I say that because so many people put their career in front of a lot of things that are more important, like your family. You're like yourself, like you need self-care. A lot of times we caught up in the hustle. We don't even have time. We need a self-care, right? Just take care of that. And that's what I do when I go driving. That's my self-care, and so that's important. And so hustling and working in the careers, man, we got to get out of that. We got to get out of the mentality that we need more. We need the biggest house. We need the fanciest cars, jewelry and all this. That's not as important. It's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would be the best piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
To definitely buy real estate. Buy real estate. As soon as you get money, all the money I blew when I was younger, I should have been buying real estate. I'd probably be retired right now. I wouldn't be working. I mean, I'd be collecting, rental income, from my real estate. I'm working on that. That's part of my retirement plan, along with my daycare center that I have. I plan on opening a few daycare centers up and just, kicking back and collecting, residual income, obviously managing the business, but having someone there. But my goal ultimately is just to have, doors, which that's what we call it in real estate investment. How many doors do you have? How many properties? And so just building my doors so I can live off that every month. I get money coming in from people paying rent and stuff. So that's what I would have told myself. Focus on buying. Forget the music. I'll be honest with you. I told myself, don't do the music thing. Okay, that's a waste of your time. And even now, even if I would have made it, I wonder if I would have been, really, if I would have enjoyed that, if I would have wanted to be around that type of environment. It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not into partying and drinking and all that stuff. So I don't know if that would have been. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's not what I do. So I don't know if I would have meshed well with that. But I would just be hustling. Starting a business right away, focus on that. But for me, it would have been real estate right away instead of putting myself in $36,000 debt on my credit cards, which, $36,000, I paid that off, and I said, never again with credit cards, and once I paid it off. But I could have bought property,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I mean, I have, I'm just saying I did, but I would be further along. I'll probably retire right now. I wouldn't even be here in Yonkers probably.
Do you have any regrets?
I'll be lying if I say I didn't have any regrets, but we have to push through that, right? We can't allow to let that get, into our minds. Of course, we're always going to be like, I should have did this. I should have done that. Look, I think about even just the real estate, but more importantly, even with my sister's death, my sister passed away of a drug overdose, at 27 years old. And that literally, took me out of commission for a good year or so, and I didn't realize it. I was in a state of depression, for a long time, so that's something that was really I regret it because I feel like I should have been there, right? I could have stopped it somehow, but I was so focused on working and trying to make this money, and take care of everybody, and I did. And what's crazy is that I got to that point. In 2016, I got to that point. I used to have this vision. I always say this because as a kid growing up, I always wanted more. My life, I was like, I need more. It's got to be more than this, right? And I would lay in bed sometimes crying because my dad wasn't around, wondering where he's at. And I always said, I'm going to always be there for my kids. I'm never. And that's why I'm like the way I am from, my family, my wife, my kids. I go hard for them, because of that. But my sister, I always wanted to be able to take care of her, have her come work with me, my mother too, take care of my mom. And I got there, I always had this vision. This is real. I always had this dream. I don't know if it's a dream, vision. It was both, where I would be watching over my yard and my whole family would be there, and they were just all having fun, right? And there's a pool and in the pool, some of them over here. And I'm just there with just chilling, just on my deck or somewhere, standing and smiling because that's why I did everything. I never did it for myself. Like, that's crazy. I always say to people, if I didn't have no family, I would go to California and I would live on the beach over there. I go out there, I see people, they live on the beach, and I'm not saying they have it. I don't know, but maybe I would be. I'd go out there, give me a little bit of money for food, maybe somewhere I could take a shower and chill. I wouldn't do this rat race,
Yeah.
But I did. I was in that rat race, but I thought I reached the pinnacle. my vision. I had my yard, my big yard. I have over an acre of land, and had my family there, all my cousins, my aunts, and they're doing limbo. Some are in the pool, we're playing some merengue, and Mark Anthony. We love Mark Anthony, right? Us Puerto Ricans, and there I was. I made it, and that was, and this was maybe like August, maybe July of 2016, and then in September of 2016, my sister would pass away, right? And I remember she was like, Freddie, you're like a real adult now, right? I remember her saying this because, me and her had this thing because of the stuff she was going through. So she hadn't been to my house. She had just been to my house that year for the first time. So she's like, you're like a real adult. You got a house, right? And I was laughing about that. But, the year before we were on a cruise, right? The whole family, my grandmother's thing. And then here they all at my house now. And then it's boom, it comes crashing down. And then September, then 6 months after that, my father dies of liver cancer, right? And my father, battled HIV. That's another thing I found out when I was 14, 15.
Wow.
So, yeah, I finding all these things out. And so, and I kind of try to let that bounce on like it was no big deal. But of course, it always was.
Of course.
You had to go to the hospital sometimes for things that, emergency. Many times I came to Yonkers when I had left the state because he was in the hospital. He may not live, So, I was there. My dad was there. Even that day. I remember that day. That summer. My mother and father were together in the same place for the first time in years. Years. I mean, my dad loved my mother to the day he died. My dad loved my mother like he loved that woman. No matter what. And that's why I get my love for my wife like that. So they were there, and I'm like, wow, my mother. I remember I have a picture with him and my sister together. That was the last picture I would take with the both of them. And I had to blow that up big, and then she would die, and that just messed me up. And then he would die 6 months later, and I went into a state of depression. I didn't realize it, but I regret that. I feel like I could have done more, right? That I wasn't there for my sister or my dad, and that's not on me, I guess. People say that's not your fault, but I don't know. I feel like I could have done more. To save them.
You're right. It wasn't in your hands, but it's beautiful you had that event.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that I look back and I say that's God. That's God said to me, Freddie, I'm going to give you that, but that's not what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And so here I am, and that's what I look at. I said, this is the purpose, right? Me doing what I'm doing today, and then I had to go through that to be here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What are your life goals?
Wow. I've been fortunate enough to reach a lot of my goals in life. So, like I said, I always had the ability, and I believe this is God, to like manifest things. So since a young kid, a lot of things, and I don't want to talk about the superficial stuff because I don't think that's relevant, but some of the superficial things that I managed to attain, but more importantly, my wife and my kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is like, I always, I don't know if you ever had, but even when I was 7, 8 years old, I would think about who I was going to marry.
Really?
Yeah. And I would think about, kids and all that because I didn't have that. Like, I wanted mom and dad and we eating dinner at the table each night. You know what I'm saying? I never had that, and so I wanted that. I watched a lot of TV. So, that's what I definitely wanted. But, what was that question again? I'm sorry.
No, that was perfect. Your life goals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so I think I've attained, a lot of that. My marriage, my kids. I'm a business owner. That freedom to do what I, as I want, as being a business owner. I got my bachelor's, the first in my family, the first to get an MBA, the first to have my own business, the first to make over 6 figures. I married my high school sweetheart. Everything was just a goal of mine that I just kept. And now my goal is to hopefully have the people of Yonkers vote me as their next mayor.
There you go. I was going to say, everything you listed, you already accomplished, so you must have something else, and that's it right there.
Yeah, I grew up in Yonkers. I love Yonkers. I'm still all around the community. I'm out there. I'm doing things. I'm helping people out. I'm getting fire hydrants fixed. So I go up to No Dine Hills, a fire hydrant on the floor broken. I'm like, what is this? The lady's like, it's been like that for a week. I said, okay, I'm going to get it fixed. I'm getting it fixed that same day. Potholes on Central. And as I've done that more, especially after my sister passed away, my dad passed away, what helped me get out of that that depression was to, start to help. And I started a nonprofit and stuff. And I said, I got to give back. I was always doing it to get all this stuff. Right. But now, where's it gotten me really? The people that I love are not really, not two people, not. So I said, I like giving back. I like helping others. Maybe I could, help people break the cycle of poverty. So, that's my mission, helping this city, progress, but in a way that doesn't, leave people out, leave a certain group of people out, and that's what's really happening here in the city of Yonkers. And it's happened for a very long time. We've largely seen blacks and Hispanics impoverished here in the city. 60% of the student body or more is Hispanic, right? Blacks and Hispanics make up over 70% of the students in the Yonkers public schools. Is that why the educational system is not the greatest? Is that why they haven't put an emphasis on that educational system? That matters. That matters to the success of those students, to the, their future, breaking the cycle of poverty, which many of them are impoverished, right? We have 75% of the students in the Yonkers public schools are living at or below the poverty line, 75%. And that could be higher. It could be, I think, 75, 77%, right? And they don't break a cycle of poverty, so you have generational poverty, and you see that where my own neighborhood. I go back to Buena Vista, Riverdale. There's a lot of people there that have never left, and I want to see people, advance, progress, get out of that situation, help their children get out. Right, the goal is for your children to do better than you in life, and so I believe that we need new leadership, one that focuses on everyone in the city and doesn't just look for a solution in bringing developments, right? Luxury developments, which cause the cost of living to go up, right? Which is already high, but now it's going up even more. So you have a segment of the population that's now leaving Yonkers. They're having to leave Yonkers rather than improving the schools, the communities for the people that are here, so they have an opportunity to better their lives, And I've just been fortunate to leave Yonkers. I left Yonkers. I went to another school district. And I said, I gotta do something in my life, over here, they're not worried about Jordans and all that, right? They want to be successful. So that got me in gear, and I want to bring that same mentality to the city of Yonkers. And I think improving the educational system will improve the community the way it should be improved.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's my goal, I guess, man.
No, that's beautiful. It's a big goal. That's good.
No, it definitely. People look at me and like, you crazy, No, I'll be honest. I'm getting that a lot. Listen, I'm not. I don't think, that I'm gonna win. I got it all figured out, But you have to give it a shot, right? Someone said to me today, said, Freddie, you're behind the 8 ball, because again, I wasn't. My goal was not to run. I was going to support other people, and but I decided to make that decision now. And they go, you're behind the 8 ball, and I said, I know. I was born behind the 8 ball. Yeah. So if I allowed that to stop me, I wouldn't be here.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So I've developed this mentality that, you got to give it a shot. You got to go for it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I'm here. Not the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't lose anything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you got to give it a shot, especially if you believe in something, and I'm passionate about it, and I want to help all the people, east side, west side, north, south. It doesn't matter. Everyone has unique issues to their communities, but we also have common issues, as a whole, to the entire city of Yonkers. And so I want to be that guy that really comes in there and, disrupts the way things have been done here, which hasn't really worked for the majority. And, and change that.
Beautiful. These next 10 questions originally came from a French series, Bouillon de Culture, hosted by Bernard Pivot.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, all that. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word, I don't know. Yes. Right, I like to hear yes. I never thought about it, but if I have to think about my favorite word, it's going to have to be yes, because I want you to say yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. What is your least favorite word?
No.
Because you want us to say yes.
I want you to say yes. When I'm meeting clients or potential clients and I want them to hire me, to represent them, they have to say yes. If they say no, I don't make money, right?
Yep.
So,
All right. I like it. What turns you on?
I and we're talking about just in general, right?
However you take it.
I guess I'm turned on by, business and just building. I really love to build, like not necessarily like building a building, meaning like just building with people, and coming up with an idea and a plan and executing, especially if it's something I'm interested in. So like right now I'm turned on by this whole idea of becoming mayor, right? And so this is now my obsession and my focus. And so I'm going to be going hard on it. And and I'm excited, I'm excited, and I want to get out there, I can't wait. But I guess now that's what's turning me on,
What turns you off?
Negativity. I like I said, I like positive, people. I like to be positive. I like people who smile all the time. Listen, life isn't always a bowl of cherries, but you don't want to add to it by having a negative attitude, because it just compounds the problem, right? And it won't allow you to get to a better place, at least, sooner than later. So, I don't like to be around negativity. I don't like people saying, we can't do this. That just, I don't know, for whatever reason, I read energy. Like I feel energy from people. It's not even a good thing sometimes to me, because it bothers me when someone's negative around me and I have to like leave, or they have to leave. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. It's just I can't be around that energy, man. I don't like negativity.
I hear it. First time I ever heard life is not a bowl of cherries. Yeah. That's a good one. I like it.
Or a box of chocolate. Right?
Yeah. I like it. What sound or noise do you love?
I enjoy this. It's funny because I go to sleep to these frequency sounds on YouTube, and so I like those sounds to help me sleep. And they really do generate dreams, man. Because I was having some dream last night. Boy, it was crazy. Sometimes I think I'm in a whole nother dimension. It's just so real. It's so detailed, right? It's like, and the people at least I don't remember ever seeing.
Yeah.
In places I've never been, right?
Yeah,
so how is it so detailed, right? I don't know. But I enjoy rain too. I love hearing water. I believe it or not, even when I'm in the bathroom and I'm not taking a shower, I have the shower on.
No.
Yeah, I have to hear those sound of water and stuff. Yeah, it's very soothing and it just makes it flow. It just makes it go.
I never heard that. That's awesome.
My wife tells you, but every time he's in the bathroom, he has the water on, even if he's not taking a shower. It's just
that's funny, man.
Yeah, I know, and it's not good. I mean, it's a bad habit. You pay your water bill, but I don't know. It's a habit I've had since I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, but I love the sound of the water. I love it.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you hate?
Believe it or not, I don't want to say hate, but I have this. It's a real condition where, and maybe this is why I was good at recording engineering. My ears are very sensitive, so high pitched noises, baby crying. I hate. I don't like that. It bothers me, but it does. It almost kind of gets me upset, because it just. So I looked this up. I was like, something is not right. Why do I? And yes, there are people that high pitched noises and just all this abrupt noises, loud. You know what I'm saying? Will cause them to like get upset, or like it just does something to them, and that's. I don't like high pitched noises, and like I mean, I dealt with my kids. I didn't neglect them, but I would do everything to try to get my kids to stop crying, because it would just drive me nuts. It literally would. It would really like bother me. So that's why I looked it up, because I said it's more than just the noise. It really is doing something to me. So I said, let me look it up, and yeah, people that are sensitive to high pitched sounds, and yeah, it's crazy.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh man. I don't know. I don't really. I do curse. I curse a lot. Not a lot. I want to say I add a curse sometimes. Although I've learned not to do that as much, especially with the podcast and everything. And so but it's just not because I can't think of another word. It's just sometimes I would just curse. But I don't know. I don't really have a favorite curse word. Right. I don't know. Not a word I like to just specifically use. I don't know.
All right. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Being a mayor. I would like to be the mayor of the city of Yonkers, represent the people of the city of Yonkers from all districts, all sides, and because it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And I'm not looking to have my personal challenges as being the mayor, right? Of course, it's a job to get done, right? But it's a challenge, and I love challenging myself, you know. And I just want to, you know what it is? I want to see what it would be like when, and I'm not saying that every politician is not a good person, but I just know politics, I know business, and, you know, people that get to the top like that a lot of times, they're very self-serving people. They're very driven. You know, they're agenda-driven. You know, they have goals, and their goals, right? And that's how they get to the top in politics, cutthroat, but also in business. But business, you kind of know that, right? In business, you are out there for your company, yourself, making money. In politics, you're supposed to be helping people. So when you're about yourself, it kind of contradicts that, right? So I would like to see what it would be like when you have someone, a mayor, leading a city that genuinely wants to help people, do right by the people, not do right by themselves, not worry about how is this going to benefit me, but how can we benefit the people, right? And every day I wake up and I go to the office and I say, okay, I need to improve the people of the city of Yonkers, their lives, right? And how do I do that? So that's something that I look forward to. You know, that's definitely, you know, my dream, I guess, job outside of what I'm doing now.
That's beautiful. Yeah. What profession would you not like to do?
I don't know. I've done a lot of, and I don't want to say professions, but I've done a lot of different things. I've cleaned toilets, urinals. I've emptied trash compactors, man, with, you know, with all that liquid stuff dripping on you and everything, you know, oil and grease. So I say that to say that I've done everything, you know, and from being, you know, the boss and just, you know, delegating, you know, not even, you know, doing anything really. No, I do. Delegating is doing something, right? But it is. But I don't know. I don't mind doing whatever I have to do to get the job done. And I think that's just, you know, my attitude, you know. I mean, obviously some jobs you're going to like better than others, but as long as it's for a purpose, we have to get the job done, then I don't mind doing it. You know, I do whatever, you know. That's why I tell people, you know, as people that just want to, I'm not ever going to do that. That's beneath me, you know, but, you know, you can't lead people where you never been. You know what I'm saying? So if, you know, if you've never been there and doing that specific job, how are you going to lead people who are doing that specific job? You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you have to be able to be willing to get in your hands dirty and do whatever it takes to get the job done. So I don't have that attitude of I hate doing that because, you know, you never know what I might have to do one day to get the job done.
I love that. That's dope. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Freddie, here's your father and sister. They're right here. Say hello.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, we're at the end of the interview where anything you want to say, anything, any advice you want to give, and I know you're passionate about, you know, this mayor run.
Yeah.
So we could definitely, you know, touch on a few topics with that. You know, let the people know what's going on. I have a couple things I think we could touch on.
Absolutely. You know, I appreciate it. First of all, I appreciate being here. You know, I'm here because one, I think you do a great job, and
Thank you.
You know, you have a dope podcast here. But I'm also here because I want to speak to people and reach people that I may not reach with my podcast, Basement Politics, and just let them know that there is someone else running for mayor, and that's Freddy Vasquez. And you may have heard of Corazon Pineda, you may have heard of Reverend Margaret Coleman, you may have heard of Anthony Moranti, and of course, the current mayor, Mike Spano. But you may not have heard of Freddy Vasquez. And why is Freddy Vasquez the guy or the man that you should vote for? Well, because Freddy Vasquez is change. For far too long, we have been living under a government that has been corrupt, that has played the nepotism card to the point where it has caused economic burdens to many people here in the city of Yonkers. You know, many people have remained impoverished for far too long because of inability to access jobs that pay six-figure salaries, like city jobs that have been kept primarily to a certain group of people, you know, limiting how many, you know, of others can get in who are not part of that. So, you know, I'm here to face that corruption. And, you know, until we have someone that's not a part of that system, which many of the candidates that are running are a part of the same system, we're not going to have true change. And, you know, one of my goals, aside from ending this corruption that we have in this our political system here, is really putting a focus on education. I'm all about the children, academics. I have an educational center. I have a daycare center, but it's also universal pre-K, after school program, tutoring, and our goal is to help kids break the cycle of poverty through education, encouraging academics, bringing, opportunities, educational, academic opportunities and resources to parents for their children who may be underperforming, so we can get them up to par and even above average, right? We want kids to really excel. So education is big for me. And as I look at our school district, I'm just saddened by what the kids have here, what they offer our kids here. I'm very just saddened by it. And that has caused, major problems, within our community. Many people have remained impoverished as a result of poor quality schools. And so I want to come in there and really focus on education, because I think through education, the entire community improves, right? We reduce crime that way, right? When people have an education, they get a career. They're not worrying about robbing somebody, right? When people are engaged in their education in the school district, because it has so much to offer, not just the students, but the families of the students, they get involved. It unites the community, right? And you have people that want to move into this community, quality people now families that want to bring their kids, because we have a great district, right? And so you're going to have a community of people that are going to bond over this, right? And it's so important. And then we want to encourage people to remain in Yonkers rather than leave Yonkers. Why do people leave Yonkers? So many people are leaving Yonkers. If they're not being pushed out because of economic reasons, they can't afford it, they're leaving Yonkers because the schools suck. The infrastructure sucks. The roads suck, right? Our elected officials suck. I'll just be honest. And so I want to change that. I'm from Yonkers. I grew up on Buena Vista. I'm in the community every day. I'm in one community or the other. And so, this is my passion. And this is why, I appreciate you giving me the time here. And I just hope that people will, listen to what I have to say, and decide. And, ultimately you have to make a decision. And, and I encourage everyone to vet every candidate that's going to be out there and, understand what they are going to bring to the table, who they are, what they have done already. Right, I'm already out here in the community getting things done, helping people, making things happen, helping people with their housing. Got a woman, a hearing when municipal housing wouldn't give her a hearing for her voucher that they took from her during the pandemic. This a mother with two children who have special needs, and they wouldn't give her a hearing to get her voucher back until she came onto my podcast, my show. They called me that night, the attorney from Macy, the city council president who works at Macy. We want to help her. They gave her a hearing, right? I'm getting potholes fixed, fire hydrant. I'm doing it not because I'm an official, I want to be an official, but because we need it, right? We need this stuff done in this community. And so that's why I'm here. That's what I want people to really know about me. I'm here and I'm passionate. I really genuinely care about this community. I love Yonkers. I just do. I mean, we could leave. I have land and I have a house in a whole nother state. And I'm only saying that because I could leave. We've considered it a few times, right? But I love this place. Something keeps me here. And so, that's what I'm here for.
It's a beautiful city. It's a melting pot, but it's all love.
Absolutely. I just don't like that it's becoming too crowded. It's just being overdeveloped.
Oh, right?
And they're not even done yet. There's many more buildings, and not only buildings, but studios. There's going to be a total of 22 movie studios, right? Where are they going to go? What kind of traffic are we going to be looking at when you have all those trucks from the movie studios, the equipment and the people and all that, right? And then you have also residential buildings. In Chicken Island, they're putting up 5 residential buildings, 5 in Chicken Island. Imagine the traffic that's going to happen when they start building that. And all the construction and everything, equipment. That's a main thoroughfare, right, to get into the downtown area. And then they're going to build up something on Locust Hill and North Broadway, going up there, another residential. 900-unit building, luxury developments on Buena Vista, 900. Right next to another one they're building that's going to be 234 units.
Wow.
So there's going to be so many people here. This is crazy, So, what impact that's going to have on the city, it's already having one. It takes you 20 minutes just to get from Sawmill to the city hall, right? And you have to leave 20, 30 minutes earlier now to go to work. And it's just, what about the schools? They're going to be overcrowded? They already are overcrowded, right? We need 3 new schools. That's according to a report. They started to build one, and it's already going over budget. It's going to probably be $100 million for the school.
Oh.
Who's stealing that money? Who's stealing $100 million? The company that's building it built the school for $44 million in Connecticut. Why is it taking you $100 million here? First you said 80, now you need 100. Come on, man. You know, and so our kids suffer. You know, my kids in the public school. Our kids suffer ultimately. You know, and they send their kids to private school. So Catholic school, stepping that. So you know, I'm fighting for the people. You know, the everyday people, Yonkers, that send their kids to the Yonkers public school, get up and go to work, and have to deal with these potholes or the traffic now. Right, the cost of living going up, but yet their salary isn't going up. And then the developments are doing that. You know, they bring up the cost of living for everybody, not just the developments, but all the properties around them are now starting to go up too, right? So, that's what I'm fighting for. So,
what do you think about nationwide we deal with police brutality? How do you feel about it in Yonkers?
Yonkers has definitely improved their police department. Yonkers was rough. I have a story. I have so many stories. I have a story in the early 90s. The police gave my aunt's husband at the time a ticket. He got mad, ripped it up, and walked into my grandmother's apartment on Buena Vista there. Cops followed him in there, and they whooped every adult that was in there and then took him to jail, including my grandmother, who had her wrist broken. My aunt was pregnant at the time. She lost her baby. She had a miscarriage because of it. A neighbor came to try to help. He got beat up so bad that he had holes all over his jeans and shirt, right? Because I saw him the day he came out of the jail. That same day they got him out. Busted up, right? That was my first experience with that police brutality here in the city of Yonkers. It was rough in the 90s. And then that's also my first experience with attorneys here in the city of Yonkers who will not help you fight the city because they are corrupt. They don't want to go against the city. They have deals with the city. They have contracts with the city. So you'd be hard pressed to find an attorney in Yonkers to go against the city, or even within a 20-mile radius of the city of Yonkers, right? That was my first dealing with that. And so, that definitely is a problem if it were continuing. Fortunately, that has changed over the years, with the commissioner by the name of Charles Gardner, Chucky Gardner, they called him Chucky Gardner. He was the police commissioner before John Mueller, who was the police commissioner before the guy now. And he made a lot of changes, but that had to do with the Department of Justice. The DOJ was in Yonkers, and they made Spano do something about it. That's the only reason why Mike Spano did anything about the police. That's the only thing that's improved in the 12 years that Mike Spano's been mayor, but that's because the DOJ forced him to do that, right? They were going to take over. They were going to take over the city, the police department, everything because of all the complaints, police brutality, the lawsuits that people were filing and winning. I mean, the city was paying out millions and millions of dollars in, police brutality lawsuits, right? So Chucky came in, he did 8 years. He changed that a lot. And then John Mueller came in and it started to go down a little bit. Yonkers actually started to fall down in crime and everything. So he only did 3 years. They got rid of him. They put now Christopher Sapienza, who's the current police commissioner. I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's the Spano administration. The mayor controls the police department along with his brothers. That's a fact. You know what I mean? So the commissioner's not really the guy that controls everything. He just takes the orders. But they know that they have to keep this, change that was implemented because of the current environment now with police brutality and people being killed, unarmed black men and just anyone being killed, by the police, whether it's a black cop or white cop, you see in Memphis, right? The Memphis 5.
Yeah.
So, so it's still a very real thing. It's still a big problem. I think here in Yonkers, it has gotten a lot better. And I think that a lot of the new officers that are coming into the Yonkers Police Department, they don't have that same mentality. And again, with the environment and everything, the protestings that have happened and stuff, I think, they've definitely gotten a lot better. But to say that it won't ever happen, it could still happen. So we always have to, make sure that as a leader of the city of Yonkers, that you are always on top of, the police department and every department to assure that you don't have any issues, to that effect, right? So, but it takes good leadership, right?
Absolutely.
Because we see city employees here getting away with a lot of things like drunk driving and killing people while, driving drunk. And that has not changed. So, still have a lot to go.
A lot of changes to make. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. This is the end. Thank you very much for watching Interview with Franjez, and thank you, Freddy Vasquez, for blessing us with your presence. It was a beautiful interview.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me. Thank you for your time, man. I do. Everybody, has, things that they could do and stuff. So I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. I appreciate all those who are watching or may watch. I'm used to going live, or who will watch this. Just check out for me. You can reach me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. I have my podcast, Basement Politics, on Facebook and YouTube. Also on Instagram, Politic with Fred. And I just talk about all what goes on here in the city of Yonkers, the politics, news, information. I bring transparency because it's important for us to know what's actually happening here, right, in the city of Yonkers. And there are a lot of changes that have been made that a lot of people know about, but a lot don't know about. So check it out. Hear what I have to say. The website should be up soon, freddyformayor.com. Again, it's freddyformayor.com, and I hope to have it within the next 2 days.
Thank you very much for watching. Peace and love.
See you later. Have a good day.